just wanted to make a recording of kind of just kind of just the way that things can be revealed. So it's technically it's like 4 a.m. on the 15th. So this was on the October 14th, and I was just using the bathroom, and I happened to be on my cycle, and I was kind of saying to myself, oh, I'm glad that it's like finally letting up some. It's been extremely heavy. And then I thought about, because I've been working, I was off yesterday, I think, for the first time in 4 or 5 days, and so it's been very inconvenient to have such a heavy cycle and be at work where you can't hardly use the bathroom and you feel rushed and stuff. Anyway, so I was just kind of saying, I know that it started on the 11th, and it was really more due on the 2nd, but I don't always get one because I am 47. And the way that the thoughts came was like, as soon as I thought that, it was like this revelation of, you didn't think it was coming this month, but it did. You didn't think the big revealing of all that's been happening to you and the swamps getting drained on October 4th didn't happen, and so you're thinking that the big revealing and all of this drama and crap you've been living because of your crazy ex and these pedophiles and big high places, you didn't think it was gonna happen this month because October 4th came and went and it didn't go the way you thought. And I'm adding way more words. It was way more simple. My understanding came immediately. It was like, as soon as I thought about the period, I was like, and that is a message. You didn't think it was going to come this month, and it did, and it was extremely heavy. And heavy could be, for the other situation, heavy could really be two ways. It will be heavy on an emotional level to finally find out the details of all the things that I only have intuitively figured. Because it's probably much worse and darker. Because it's hard for me to, imagine that someone I've been married to for 28 years would, take a hit out of my life and would, have me be recorded for years in our bedroom as we have sex and put it on the black market and, kill our son and all these things. These are things that I only know by intuition and downloads and just understanding coming to me. But it also, the heaviness, once again, of the cycle of my period, and then that kind of being related to what's going to be happening, could also be taken as I think it's both. Kind of like my abundance and, what I'm due, good karma, however you want to put it. It's going to come in the flow, just like a period. It's going to come rushing in. It's going to be a bit overwhelming. Sort of like if you started, if anyone's ever started a cycle and you're out somewhere and you don't really realize and you have it's a huge embarrassment, it's a huge mess, it's just, anyway, and I'm not trying to talk about something kind of gross, it's natural that we bleed. It doesn't need to be gross. Sorry for any men who might listen to this later, but my main reason, first I wanted there to be kind of evidence that I knew these things ahead of time because they were revealed to me. But secondly, I just want there to be, I know there's other people this happens to, of course, but I want there to be just an understanding in a very simple way, the way that we are, if you want to say spoken to by spirit or however you look at it, okay? I don't say God. I believe that we are also divinity, or, you know, at least have that potential to like heal and come into our true self. But it's not, I don't need to light a candle. And I'm not against people who do those things, okay, as long as they're not doing anything crazy, like wrong, like, you know, they have good motives. There's nothing wrong with lighting, you know, lighting a candle or burning incense or whatever you do. But I don't need to do those things. And the way that the downloads come is in just usually very simple and very underrated and understated kind of ways, you know. And I could really count on one hand anything that was much more like extreme. And I only had one that was like full color, like something from like, you know, like a flash, like as if it was a movie in full color. And that was me seeing something that was happening. You know, that was me remote viewing without trying. And yet there's classes and, you know, seminars, and you can try to learn. And I had never, one came into my YouTube feed and it interested me, and I listened to it halfway at least. I found it a little bit boring, but I don't really have a need. There's no one I want to spy on, you know, there's no one I want to like invade in their privacy in that way. And I also, it just didn't resonate with me. It kind of started with you holding a pen and making a mark, and it was really just, and honestly, it was just not what I would have thought. But when I remote viewed, it was something I didn't ask for, which really leads credence to like how I was able to trust from that happening back, I don't know when it was, I'm gonna just say last October, like whenever it was. I was living with my mom, I hadn't gone to jail yet. It was quite some time ago. Maybe it was, I don't know, I'd really have to look back at my videos, but that's when I was able to trust it so much, because I didn't ask, I wasn't seeking for it. I didn't do some, you know, process. It just happened. And it was such a crazy thing that I saw, which was, you know, the Mennonites gathered around a body. The body was, you know, it's almost like, you know, the part that was the clearest was Dale Miller, and everyone was like in hooded garments, like the way you might picture a warlock on a movie, like a black big hooded thing, you know. And he was saying, "Shall we?" And then he like had this sword or blade or whatever it was, this big blade, like I want to say sword, but it might not have been sword, but I have a video about it. But my point is just that the simplistic way that the downloads and things come, and it's like, because it comes so simply, and it really comes like the one I was talking about earlier, that wasn't a vision, just about the period, about kind of me feeling like I believe I'm being told that the revealing of all this stuff is going to happen this month in October. It just happens almost more in like the processing of the mind, just like your inner own dialogue. It's like that's where, you know, if you want to say spirit or your guides, that's where the communication happens. In other words, like not all thoughts you have are your own. That can also be a way to look at if you ever dealt with like dark thoughts, like suicidal or like molesting children or something that you know you don't want to do and you don't know why, and how that kind of thing came into your mind. It's not you, it's a spiritual attack, and you just need to know that it's not you. And that's something that unfortunately is used in the mental health world to, like, you know, almost like take a completely innocent and healthy, mentally healthy person who's under spiritual attack and make them become, you know, someone in a straitjacket who's on pills, and that like causes you to like lose your real existence, you know? When there was something wrong with you, you were just under spiritual attack, and these things need to be understood so that innocent people don't become victims of like, you know, psychiatric, you know, psychotic kind of pills and labels that, you know, don't allow you to find employment or, you know, stigmatize you. And I don't mean someone truly dealing with like depression. I just mean someone who's like truly, it ain't them. These things used to happen to me, and I knew that it wasn't me. And I was a Christian then, and so I believed it was the devil, quote unquote, demonic spirits. It was demonic spirits, but I don't believe in the devil and Jesus and the way that the Bible, it's not really like that. But, you know, if you want to say there's many devils, and, you know, I'm not saying there's many Jesuses, but there's many Christ. How about that? And we can be a type of Christ, but I don't believe Jesus is real, or Satan, or the Garden and Eve and all that. You know, it's just a bunch of manipulation into a pretty story, with a heavy dose of truth mixed in with error, so that it's very, very believable. Therefore, the manipulation can take effect. Okay, so now I've really gone off on a tangent. So this is the way I am sometimes. Yesterday when this happened, as far as the period, I really knew I needed to record it, but the reason I didn't do it then, which is what I would have preferred, was just I'm living in a hotel right now, and I have, you know, I feel like that's why I'm kind of whispering. I'm like I have my blanket pulled over. So, you know, it's just pretty much a bed and a dresser and a little room, and, you know, there's people who are outside sometimes. You never know who's walking by. There's guys next door who sit out there at all hours of the night, and, you know, I feel like there's just very little privacy. And so that's why I waited. But, and I can kind of sound ridiculous because here I am whispering. It's like, what you whispering for? And this is the way it was when I lived with my mom too. I just didn't feel like I had safety or privacy. But anyway, so I do believe something's gonna happen this month. I already had kind of been given confirmation something was gonna happen by the end of the year. And, you know, yes, the October 4th date had come and gone, and it was very disappointing. But there's part of me that thinks that certain things can be held up, and maybe they were supposed to already, but other people have free choice. We are not, excuse my stomach for growling if you can hear it, but, you know, we're not like robots, and we're not forced. So everyone has a choice of how they respond. So maybe I had a soulmate that fumbled me, and because he took a long time to like decide, and maybe spirit guides were trying to urge him, this is just what I think. I could be wrong, you know, but, you know, kind of like he took so damn long one way or the other. It's okay if it's not going to be him, but he really held things up. That I think is very possible. That kind of thing, just as an example. So maybe that's what happened. I also know that what's gonna come out and be revealed is mind-boggling. When I really get to thinking about it, I almost have to like stop thinking about it and kind of push it away, because I understand. You know, I understand it on a lot of levels, but it's going to be it's going to affect the society, the whole society, on a grand scale. It's going to be so devastating to find out about these rings of pedophiles and what these churches have really been doing, how many people are part of this stuff, that, you know, it's going to be, to say it's going to be upsetting, And the people whose like eyes are completely closed and who follow like the regular news and think that stuff is in any way, shape, or form legit, like this is gonna be so much bigger than like any of the, Trump this or the Iraqi war this and all that stuff is bullshit. But if you don't know that, just even if you do know that, like this is gonna be crazy. This is gonna be like worldwide. Yeah, like almost like a worldwide tower, because towers can be good for some people, simultaneously being very bad for many others. There is good that will come out of knowing the truth, and this stuff ending. That's the most important part, is that the victims, I don't know, of course, how many people will be alive still and be able to like have their lives salvaged, but at least, this will stop the child trafficking, the human trafficking, the energy harvesting by molestation, pedophilia. I'm not saying it'll stop like every single place in the whole world, but like this is a huge crime ring that is going to be revealed and come to a halt, and people probably, many will take their lives, many will go to prison, the prisons will become overfull, many will have the death penalty, and this is going to usher in, I believe, almost an end to the human engineering, and like this is going to be like a massive worldwide, I'm not saying every single person, but like on a mass scale, like many people awakening, many people healing, seeing past religion, seeing religion for what it really is, which is mostly about control, taking their power back. Many who have been victims, like I have, of the siphoning or harvesting of energy, who don't, like I don't know about such things, therefore aren't, protecting themselves or doing things they could. There's going to be like a reclaiming of self on like a mass level, and a worldwide awakening is the best way I can put it. It's going to be wonderful, but it's going to be hard and ugly at first, for the world to hear and to know and to fully grasp like just how dark things have been when we're under illusions that everything is just fine. It's gonna be big.